Hello, everybody. This is Professor Robert Alexander, and we are going to talk about Chapter 9, which is test preparation. Chapter 9 deals with test preparation and also reducing anxiety. And remember, it takes a village. So let's go ahead and dive into it. This is Chapter 9, and we will again be focusing on test preparation, how to excel in taking tests. Chapter 9, how to excel in taking tests. So, Chapter 9, the learning objectives is describe strategies for taking tests, describe strategies for taking different types of tests, and identify last minute study tips. Identify ways to overcome test anxiety as well as obstacles. Test taking strategies before you take a test. Number one is start on day one. As soon as you get information that you're going to have the test, you can start studying. You can plan an outline. What are going to be the most important things? Knowing your expectation, knowing your why. Why is studying for the test important? What are going to be the key terms? Asking questions in class. Hopefully your teacher will provide some type of study guide. Hopefully you can go over the most important topics, key terms that are going to be on your test with your study group. Keep up. It is hard to do well on your test if you fall behind. So stay aware of where you're at in that particular course. And when you take notes, review them early, review them often, and review them immediately. Review them weekly, review them daily. Sometimes you forget your notes over the span of 48 hours, so it's good to review those notes as soon as you take them. Do a final review before the test. Further test taking strategies have to do with using the memory techniques from Chapter 8. That's mnemonics, creating acronyms. Create a sample test. This is something that could be done with your study group. You can quiz each other. All of these are important for test taking strategies to help you recall that information when it's time, when it's crunch time. So summarize, chunk these important ideas and topics together. Use your study team, your study group, lean on them. Areas that might be weakness to you might be a strength to somebody in your team. So you want to tap into those strengths. Or you may be well aware of something and your team members does not teach that to them. The more you teach things to other people, the more you retain. Use your available resources. Use your textbooks. Use Google. Use TED Talks. Use YouTube. All of these things can enhance your learning. So assemble what you need first. If you know that you're going to be taking a test and a lab is involved, so you may as well want to have some type of note-taking strategy, have all your material. If you have to use a protractor or a microscope, have those things at your disposal using technology. We're in the information age, folks, so tap into what's online. Use your laptop, bring your iPads, whatever you can do to get the job done. While you're taking the test or during the test, these are some strategies. Read and listen to all instructions. Pay attention to what is italicized. Also pay attention to what is underlined. Sometimes a question will be posed is, what is the correct answer except, or define something that goes along with, and it may be all of the above. It may be one of the answers that you just didn't pay close attention to. So make sure that you're reading and listening to all the instructions. Write down key information. I use note-taking strategies. I take notes all the time. I write notes in the margin. I do whatever it takes to help me get that answered, to do well on that test. Scan the entire test first. Do the easier ones first, and then go back to the harder. Answer the objective questions. So questions that are not opinion-based, but are more objective as opposed to subjective, you want to answer those first. Answer essay questions. And further in this chapter, we're going to get into different types of tests. Answer all remaining questions that you left behind and review your test before you submit. Now, this is key because a lot of people just go ahead and just rush through the test and they don't get a chance to review it. And you'll notice that you missed questions that you didn't answer, or you could have answered questions a little bit better. Test taking strategies after the test. Analyze and assess. Confirm your grade. Determine common types of mistakes. And try not to repeat those mistakes on the next test. So don't have this perfectionist attitude if you score poorly on a test, because some of these tests are designed for you to make improvements on those future tests. Learn what to do differently next time. So you notice that you struggled on one section of the test and you were strong on another part. What was the difference? What what can you do better next time to make sure that you're working on your weaknesses for that next test? And review with your instructor. If your instructor goes over the test, the next class, or the next week, make sure you're there. Make sure you're asking questions. Make sure you're doing your due diligence to do even better on that test. If you got a B grade, strive for an A grade on that next test. Review the test with your study team as well. Using test results to improve for the next test. Did I read the test before I started? Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. If you didn't, you definitely want to do it for the next time. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What did I do right as opposed to what did I just speed through? What did I rush and what did I do wrong? What question did I miss? Did I miss clues? Did I miss the bold print? Did I miss words that were underlined, italicized? Did I ask the instructor for clarification? These are all things that you can do as a student to improve your test grade. And how well did I know the content that was even on the test? Did you start studying for this test with enough time to give yourself to do well? Or did you cram at the last minute? How many of you guys have crammed for a test? That's a lot of us. So if you know that cramming for a test may not be the most effective, spend more time leading up to that test and break it down in chunks and study for it. This is college. You paid for it. You want to do your very best. What should I have studied more? These are deficiencies. These are areas that we might be weaker in, that we need to focus on. Did I anticipate the style and format? Did I come into this test thinking that it was going to be a multiple choice test and it ended up being an essay test? Was it a closed book and I thought it was going to be open book? These are different strategies that you can prepare for next time. Using test results to improve your next test. What did I expect? Did I have trouble with certain type of questions or how they were worded? Did I test myself with the right questions? Okay, so when you did that test review or that mock test, did I ask the right type of questions? Did I go to the study review? Did I handle test anxiety well? So, test anxiety, I oftentimes hear students complain that they never can remember the information on a test. Their mind kind of goes blank when giving a speech, or they can't remember names. So just as anxiety is a learned response, good test taking skills can be learned as well. I often stress to my students how important it is to practice improving your memory. So refer back to chapter 8 because we did a lot of work on improving our memory. And just remain organized, integrate your learning styles, and reduce stress that can help you recall the information. Would it have helped me if I studied with others? Absolutely. What changes will I make in studying for the next test? Taking different types of tests. We got the true or false. Read the entire question carefully before answering, because a lot of those true or false, they might be worded funny or they might seem like they're trick questions, but they're asking that question in a way that's going to yield a certain answer. So you got to pay attention. Pay attention to details. Watch for qualifiers. Watch for faulty cause and effect. Always answer every question. Don't leave any of them blank. You don't lose points you don't gain points for leaving a test question blank, and trust your instincts. So there are different types of tests. We got the multiple choice. Read the question carefully. You want to try to rephrase the question. Cover the potential answer, and use the process of elimination. Okay, deduction. Okay, weed certain answers out. Certain answers just don't make sense. Go from easy to difficult in answering the questions. And watch for combinations like all of the above or none of the above. Rarely is it none of the above. And look at sentence structure. And we also got the matching test. For all these tests, you want to read carefully, use the process of elimination, looking for clues, taking different types of tests. The last one is fill in the blank. Okay. So we have fill in the blank. Watch for grammatical clues, count the number of blanks, right? Watch the length of the blanks because that can give it a cue in terms of what word that they want to add in there. If it's a lengthier word, if it's a lengthier blank, it typically is a lengthier word that will fill that spot. And we have the world famous open book test. Now, I used to get delighted when my teacher gave open books because now you have time to kind of peruse that textbook and kind of figure out the right answers to these questions. But open book tests typically go beyond the basics, and they go beyond basic recall and require critical thinking and analysis because your professor is giving you more time. So sometimes with that, those questions tend to be harder and involve critical thinking skills and problem solving. Mark important areas in your book. Write important information on note cards and use your own words to summarize information. So you still want to be familiar with the textbook, even though it's open book. You want to be able to go right to that page, right to that paragraph, and determine what that correct answer is. So even though it's open book, you still want to study for it. You want to still have that material in your mind because you may draw on it for the final. So still study the same way. We have online tests. Be strategic and careful when you take online tests. Make certain you check to see when the test has been posted. Look for email announcements about when the test is available, time allowed, and when it expires. Online tests are often timed. Check to see if you can re-enter the test site and redo answers before you hit submit. It's always good to check your answers. Find out all the information before the day of the test and be at your computer a half an hour or so early to get prepared and ready. Read through the entire test before you begin. Follow the directions. Have your textbook, your notes, your water, your snacks, and summaries in easy reach because online tests, all tests, they're draining. They can take a lot out of you. So you want to be able to take a water break. You want to have your snacks on hand. And take a break every hour. So if the test is 2 hours, try and take a quick stretch break. Read directions carefully and review before you hit that submit button. Your essay test, budget your writing time. A lot of people typically don't prefer the essay test. So if you are one of those people, then you know you need to spend a little bit more time prepping for it, preparing for it. Read the question carefully before answering, before diving into that writing. Create an outline. Focus on your main points when you're writing. You don't want this to be an essay that just drags on, where it just sounds like you're just saying whatever in order to answer that question. Like a lot of people's mindset is that if I write long enough, or if I'm wordy enough, then I'll eventually get to that point where professors still want you to be concise, still want you to hit those main points succinctly, quickly, write concisely and correctly, and use key terms and phrases from the lecture and from the book. That's how you're going to make those connections and answering the right question and getting a high score on that test. Answer completely. Make sure you count your words and write neatly. Your professor is going to have to understand it. So if you know that you have bad handwriting, please write legibly. Use all the time that is available. And our last minute study tips consist of focus on the viewpoints, indent to be positive, Review your note cards. Review your notes. I always kept flashcards, especially for the hard sciences. I kept flashcards to go over key terms, phrases, things that were going to be on the test. Affirm your memory. So sometimes you go through the flashcard. Maybe you might show a vocabulary word that's going to be on there. Then put the flashcard down and just try to remember that word and that definition for that word. Do not pop pills. Okay, this is unhealthy. Test anxiety. We talked about chapter 1 and 2, we talked about affirmations. You want to dispute negative thoughts and conversations. You want to rehearse. You want to get regular exercise. Healthy body usually makes for a healthy mind. You want to take care of what you're putting into your body. You want to be conscious of that. Eating healthy foods, okay, fruits, reducing that sugar intake, okay. A few complex carbohydrates and proteins. Try to cook more often than going out. Visualize success. We have to project that positive energy into the atmosphere. We are visualizing success, staying calm, get to class early, and focus. Keep a sense of perspective. And whenever you struggle, every college has a tutorial center, academic skills center. So get the help that you need. Personally, I've never had to deal with cheating in my over 10 years of counseling and or teaching. So cheating hurts because it violates your integrity, right? It erodes your confidence for future tests. It creates academic problems. It increases stress levels too because you're worried about getting caught, essentially. And it brings high risk. You can get not only kicked out of the class, but you get an automatic F. You can get expelled from the campus. And if you adapt and utilize all of these resources, everything that was given today in chapter 9, you're going to be successful on all your tests. So make sure that you're employing some of these strategies, and make sure that if you struggle with a particular subject, put a little bit more energy in. If you have an allotted amount of time to prep for that test, use that whole time. Try not to cram before that test, because statistics show that if you cram before that test, you're not going to do as well as if you would have prepared for it weeks in advance. Study in groups, study in tandems, try to teach information to your peers. These are all things that are going to benefit you in the long run when taking that test. Again, this is Professor Alexander. It takes a village. And we're going to be signing off. Be on the lookout for those review questions that are going to be posted online, and answer those questions that are connected to chapter 9. Peace.